What if I told you the country with the highest sales tax in the world wasn't a wealthy European powerhouse, but a tiny Himalayan kingdom most people couldn't find on a map? And what if I told you that in some places, paying more tax is directly linked to living a happier and healthier life? The word taxes makes most of us clench up. It's that chunk of your paycheck that just disappears. But where does it go? And why do some countries nibble while others take a giant bite? Today, we're going to demystify the global tax system. Spoiler, it's not boring accounting. It's a window into what a country actually cares about. Think of a country's economy like a giant restaurant. To keep the lights on, pay the chefs, and serve the food, the owner needs to collect money. There are three basic ways to do that. First, personal income tax. That's like taking a portion of every chef and server's paycheck. The more they earn, the bigger the portion the restaurant might take. Second, the sales tax, or VAT. That's like adding a service charge to every bill. Whether you order caviar or the house salad, you pay that extra bit at checkout. And third, the corporate tax. That's the big one. A cut of the restaurant's profit at the end of the year. Each country uses a different mixture of these three ingredients. Some go heavy on the income tax, while others on sales tax. And some have a secret recipe that we'll get to. Looking at compiled tax rates for over 150 countries, let's start with who's taking the biggest slice of your personal earnings. At the very top is Finland, a whopping 57.65% for the top earners. Japan and Denmark are not far behind. These countries are famous for big social safety nets, such as universal healthcare and free education. They take a large slice of personal income, but they use it in order to fund services everyone can benefit from. It's a trade-off. Less take-home pay, but more public good. Okay, so let's take a look at sales tax, the price that you're paying when you buy stuff. Here's a surprise. Bhutan can have a heavy sales tax of up to 50%. That isn't a typo. Hungary is next at 27%. Then a group of Nordic countries at 25%. Now, Bhutan's approach is really fascinating. They use these heavy taxes on certain imports and luxury goods. But that's with the goal of protecting local culture and funding gross national happiness initiatives. They aren't just raising money, they're shaping society. But what if a country decides to play a completely different game? What if, instead of taxing activity inside their borders, they try to become the place every company in the world wants to register? These are the tax havens. Their strategy is clever and a little ruthless. Let's look at corporate tax. Ireland, 12.5%. Hungary, 9%. UAE, also 9%. Compare that to Japan or Germany at around 30%. These countries don't want a big cut from a few local businesses. They want a tiny slice from thousands of the world's biggest companies. Apple, Google, Pfizer. They attract trillions in foreign investment by offering rock-bottom rates. Their revenue often comes from fees and the massive economic activity of being a global financial hub. In short, low taxes become an export. That has created a massive global tug-of-war. On one side, countries like the US, Germany, and France are tired of companies shifting profits to Ireland or the Cayman Islands. They're pushing for a global minimum corporate tax of 15%, just to stop the race to the bottom. This is a simplified view. We haven't talked about property taxes, inheritance taxes, or the thousands of pages of loopholes that corporate accountants find. And a global recession could scramble everything. High-tax countries might cut rates to spur growth, or low-tax ones could raise them just to cover deficits. A country's tax code is its autobiography. It tells you what it values: collective well-being, individual wealth, or being the world's biggest playground. Taxes aren't just inevitable, they're a story about who we are. So here's my question. Looking at your country's tax recipe, what story do you think it tells? Drop a comment and tell me. If you want me to keep making sense of the data that shapes our world, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I will see you in the next one.